Highlights. Vice President Shettima reiterates commitment to build strong, trustworthy capital markets to boost national economy. Federal government sets minimum graduation age for tertiary institution as 16 years. And Nigeria Meteorological Agency lists 19 states at risk of flash flooding in July. Good afternoon, it's News at 3 on Rstv. I am Catherine Ago. Do you love and care about Rivers State and her peace? Let's build and take her to greater heights. This is a task we must accomplish. You can watch Rstv News live on YouTube and Facebook on Rstv Online. You can subscribe or click on the notification bell for updates on our live feeds. Now the news in details. In June 2012, Egi in Ogba Egbemandoni local government area of Rivers State witnessed a devastating environmental challenge when equipment failed on a gas re-injection project site, causing an explosion which affected Egita, Obogo, Obite, and Obiebe communities. Consequently, Total Energies EP Nigeria Limited, operator of the project, swung into action to end the spread of raw gas, other environmental hazards, and ameliorate the impact of the disaster through dialogue in compensations, and finally implement special memorandum of understanding MOU. Ndo Ajay in this report examines the investment decision made by the 4 impacted communities with percentages derived from the $30 million Special Development Fund. Take a look.
The special agreement, which provided a 2% of the development fund for affected communities and families at 1% each, ensured the utilization of the fund for developmental projects and programs to guarantee sustainability. In line with the provision, representatives of the affected communities met and proposed to float a transport business for which the Special Agreement Implementation Committee approved. Further to the approval, the 4 community representatives procured 8 vehicles, including 2 Hummer buses and 6 Sienna wagons, to commence the arrangement, which will ply Omok to Port Harcourt en route Ege. Japheth Morrison is the chairman, Affected Communities and Families Forum.
We have employed over 8 persons from Ege. The drivers of these vehicles are from Ege. Our secretary, the secretary, is from Ege. The mechanic who is maintaining this vehicle are from Ege. So our primary motive is to create employment to the host community, people that have lost their land.
Inaugurating the project, Chairman, Special Agreement Implementation Committee, Gospa Wachuku, represented by Henry Ehwike, who is visibly elated, eulogized the pragmatic approach of the representatives and urged community leaders to emulate the exemplary leadership style exhibited by the 4 communities. He, however, advocated strong management framework to drive the process to succeed.
So I'm really impressed. You could see elements of empowerment. You could see a sustainable project, and that's why I advise that they put a good governance system in place. In all, I was really impressed. Commend the committee members and even for the project committee part of it to be able to usher in this.
Secretary of the Special Agreement Implementation Committee, Honorable Dr. Christian Ahiakwo, called on those he described as doubting Thomases to take a look at a project conceived and completed within specific time frame by leaders who mean well for the people. He expressed satisfaction at the level of commitment exhibited by representatives of the affected communities and urged them to maintain the tempo.
Is the affected family and the communities. They have done so wonderfully well. You can see the vehicles, just like the chairman of the implementation committee have advised, they should look at management system. How do they manage to sustain what they have started? For me, if they can put together a vibrant and effective management system, I think in the nearest future, the families will be sharing money every 6 months or quarterly, as the case may be.
The Special Agreement Implementation Committee is looking forward to inaugurating other developmental projects embarked upon by various organs of Ege leadership in the nearest future. High point of the event was test driving of one of the vehicles by representatives of the committee chairman, Henry Ehwike. Ndo Ajay, Rstv News.
Egi Traditional Rulers Council has demonstrated leadership capacity by investing in agribusiness using the 1% derivation from the Egi Special Development Fund. The commendation was made by the Chairman, Special Agreement Implementation Committee, Gaspar Nwachukwu, during an inspection of the project site for the implementation of special agreement projects and programs by Egi leadership institutions. Again, Ndu Ajay was on the tour.
The team lead, Gospel Nwachukwu, represented by Henry Wike, identified traditional rulers as custodians of the people's heritage and expressed satisfaction at the initiative, which, according to him, is in line with the provisions of the special agreement. He lauded the royal fathers for taking up such a massive sustainable development project that has multiplier effect in the agricultural and agro-business value chain. Mr. Nwachukwu admonished them to constitute a strategic management plan to ensure smooth running and sustainability of the business.
Okay, we're impressed with what they are doing. They've actually shown their fathers, and we have shared a bit of the concerns we have, which they've given us clarifications on those areas. And so we're also hoping that in a short time to come, we'll come back to do the commissioning.
Earlier, leader, Egi Traditional Rulers Council, His Royal Highness Eze Zion Omekwe, thanked the Special Agreement Implementation Committee for the confidence reposed in them in the deployment of the 1% fund on behalf of the traditional rulers and chiefs, and reaffirmed their preparedness to sustain the project to the benefit of the traditional institutions in particular and Egi people in general. He said they have over 10,000 fingerlings in the ponds located at Obiebe.
Why we decided to put everything necessary on ground. If the chiefs can be having small thing, either 2 times in a year or 3 times in a year, it will motivate you to buy more. With this, by special grace of God, we are okay. And we pray God that more should come so that we will show example as a father.
Secretary, Special Agreement Implementation Committee, Honorable Dr. Christian Ahiakwo, who expressed delight at the exemplary leadership demonstrated by the Egi Traditional Council, sued for cooperation among themselves to ensure unity of purpose. According to him, now that every institution in Egi is taken to enterprise development, it becomes easier to raise funds to improve lives rather than always waiting for freebies.
The traditional rulers, in fact, we were marveled when they told us that they have over 10,000 fingerlings. Go down to your project site and ascertain what your money has been used for. Not for you to listen to naysayers or propagandists saying they have shared the money and not. No money was shared. From the evaluation, given the money that was given to them, I think we can see value for money.
The dream of industrializing Egi is gradually being realized as all the leadership institutions has taken it up as a challenge to be less dependent on company allocations. It behooves all hands to be on deck to properly realize the vision. Ndu Ajay, Rstv News.
Vice President Kashim Shettima, the Minister of State for Finance, Doris Ozoka Anite, and the Director General of the Securities and Exchange Commission, Dr. Imomotimi Agama, are unanimous that the judiciary, upholding the will of justice, will inspire confidence in Nigeria's capital markets. Speaking at the Securities and Exchange Commission Judges Workshop held in Abuja, Shettima highlighted how effective dispute resolution mechanism would boost investors' confidence and market stability. The Vice President submitted that a strong and trustworthy capital market was fundamental to national economic transformation. He noted that beyond its role as a trading platform, the capital market would mobilize long-term funds, crucial for infrastructure, business expansion, and job creation, all vital to Nigeria's developmental goals amid a young and growing population. According to Shettima, investor trust hinges on the legal system capable of resolving disputes promptly and fairly, especially in financial markets, where timing is critical. He urged judges to deepen their knowledge of capital market laws and work closely with the SEC to uphold market integrity. The Vice President also reassured participants of government's commitment to supporting judicial independence and improving access to justice, including through alternative dispute resolution techniques such as mediation and arbitration, aimed at easing court congestion and speeding up settlements. Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development Festus Keyamo has inaugurated Enugu Air, an Enugu state-owned commercial airline established by the Governor Peter Mba administration with 3 Embraer airplanes for a start. Keyamo dismissed misgivings over the federal government's plan to concession the Akanu Ibiam International Airport and lauded Mba's strenuous efforts towards ensuring the imminent completion and operationalization of the airport. He commended the state's choice of ZJet as partner and operator of Enugu Air, describing ZJet as a highly competent and 100% Nigeria-owned player in the country and Africa's aviation industry. The minister said despite being of a different political party from the governor, he could not hide the fact that the governor had performed and would be difficult to defeat in any election. Recalling Mba's persistence and energy in bringing Enugu Air to reality, Keyamo described him as an incredible performing governor, stating that it would be difficult to defeat him in 2027, given the level of work he has done in just 2 years. Mba described the feat as triumph of vision and the beginning of Enugu's journey to becoming a major aviation hub. The federal government has formally set 16 years as the minimum age for admission into Nigeria's tertiary institutions. Minister of Education Dr. Tunji Alausa announced this during the 2025 policy meeting of the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board held in Abuja. Alausa, while declaring the meeting open, emphasized that the age benchmark is now official and non-negotiable. He warned that any admission carried out outside the central admissions processing system would be considered illegal. The minister further stated that heads of institutions found culpable of admission fraud or circumventing caps would be prosecuted in accordance with the law. The annual policy meeting set guidelines for the conduct of admissions into universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education for the coming academic session. Meanwhile, the Nigerian Air Force says the air component of Operation Hadinkar has destroyed terrorist logistics warehouse and thwarted impending massive terror attacks on Borno communities during air interdictions in the Mandara Mountains. The statement by the Director of Public Relations and Information, Air Commodore Ehime Ejodame, stated that air components launched precision airstrikes against key terrorist strongholds nestled in the Mandara Mountains as part of ongoing coordinated operations to dismantle insurgents' network across the Northeast Operational Theater. Edojame said high-profile targets were Jahode and Lokfere have long served as fortified enclaves for the Jama'atu Ali's Sunna leader Awati Wal Jihad factions of Boko Haram. He revealed that the locations known for their rugged mountain-covered terrain along Nigeria's border with Cameroon had recently witnessed increased terrorist activities, including reports of a logistics build-up and the presence of senior JAS commanders. The Nigerian Air Force, he said, remained resolute in sustaining the ongoing onslaught against terrorists and restoring lasting peace to all troubled regions across the country. University lecturers in different parts of the country have stopped work because the federal government has reportedly not paid their June 2025 salaries. The national president of ASU, Professor Chris Piwuna, had said in June that the union would apply a no work, no pay policy if salaries were not paid on time. Several universities have already begun to cut back on services and many lecturers nationwide are still unpaid. At the University of Jos, the ASU chairman, Dr. Jube Molwus, said lecturers have stopped teaching and attending meetings. Molwus said the action is in line with a decision by the union's National Executive Council, which says members should stop work if salaries are not paid by the third day of a new month. He also said a team has been set up to make sure all lecturers follow the decision. According to him, anytime salaries were not paid by the third day of the month, there would be a continuous withdrawal of services by the lecturers. The Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET, has released a list of 19 states at risk of flash floodings this month. The agency's flash flood risk alert for July 2025 shows very probable risk of experiencing flash floodings events due to the onset of rainfall across the country. According to the release, a high-risk state is Sokoto, and non-notable risk states are Kaduna, Zamfara, Yobe, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Jigawa, Adamawa, Taraba, Niger, Nasarawa, Benue, Ogun, Ondo, Lagos, Delta, Edo, Cross River, Rivers, and Akwa Ibom states. On precautionary measures, NIMET advises residents of the affected state to take necessary precautions, include relocating where necessary and clearing drainage systems. The agency also advised preparing emergency kits, turning off electricity and gas during flooding, and strengthening mudslide prevention measures. It, however, urged residents to take these precautions seriously to minimize the impact of potential flash flooding events. Do you love and care about Rivers State and her peace? Let's build and take her to greater heights. This is a task we must accomplish. Still to come after the break, Cairo telecom fire injures 14, disrupts internet nationwide. Plus, Israel Defense Minister plans to move Gaza's population to camp in Rafah. These are more news stories after the break. Stay tuned.
This is Rstv World News. We bring you world-class news, accurate, first-hand, entertaining, balanced analysis. Rstv, Channel 22 Port Harcourt. This is Rstv World News. We bring you world-class news, accurate, first-hand, entertaining, balanced analysis. Rstv, Channel 22 Port Harcourt.
You're welcome back. The Nigerian Union of Journalists (NUJ) has flagged off its membership revitalization exercise in Port Harcourt. A statement by the Secretary, Dr. Ijoma Subosia, says the exercise is to check the activities of quacks in the journalism profession. Chairman of the union, Comrade Paul Bazia, while flagging off the exercise at the Ernest Ikoli Press Center, Moscow Road, Port Harcourt, said it will go a long way to checking impersonators. Comrade Bazia pointed out that the NUJ constitution has already spelled out the minimum qualification for journalists as BSc, BA, and HND in mass communication or journalism. He added that those who studied other disciplines in their first degrees are expected to have postgraduate diploma, PGD, in relevant disciplines to qualify them to practice as journalists. According to the chairman, the National Secretariat has opened a website for the registration of journalists across the country, awaiting the list of revalidated members from the 36 council nationwide, including the FCT, for onward production of their identity cards. According to the statement, the chairman called on journalists to ensure they participate in the exercise, as the outcome will form a compendium for journalists' practice in Rivers State, I beg your pardon. And in business, as part of regulatory efforts to support the exit from the forbearance regime, the Central Bank of Nigeria has directed banks to submit a capital restoration plan. A statement by the CBN Director of Banking Supervision, Olubukola Akinwumi, the Apex Bank, said the capital restoration plan would complement its other measures, which include termination of forbearance exposure and single oblivion limits waiver, suspension of payments of dividends, bonuses, and investments in foreign subsidiaries for affected banks. The CBN also said lenders are required to submit quarterly disclosures on key metrics, which will aid regulatory transparency and support supervisory oversight. The presidency has faulted the International Monetary Fund (IMF) over what it described as a very fatalistic assessment of Nigeria's economic reforms, inflation and poverty levels. The special advisor to President Bola Tinubu on economic affairs, Tokwe Faswa, criticized the IMF's recent article titled "How Nigeria Can Unleash Its Economic Potential," which raised concerns over the country's persistently high inflation rate and slow impact of reforms. The special advisor said the IMF had become overly critical, describing its frequent statements on Nigeria as heckling and potentially destabilizing. He disclosed that Nigeria recently repaid $3 billion the IMF to exit the COVID-19 loan package, something many other countries have yet to do. Yet the fund continues to pile pressure on the country. Faswa warned that the IMF's statement risks preaching Nigerians people against the government, saying they lack nuance and fail to consider depth of the economic problems inherited. A fire engulfed the main telecom company building in downtown Cairo, injuring at least 14 people and prompting a temporary outrage of internet and mobile phone services. The health ministry said in a statement that 14 injured were taken to a nearby hospital as 2 emergency responders suffered burns on their hands. The governor's office in a statement said the fire started on the 7th floor of a landmark 10-story telecom Egypt building in the Ramses area of Cairo. Ambulances and fire trucks were on site. Plumes of dark smoke rose in the downtown. Firefighters put up ladders as fire trucks spilled waters to contain the blaze, while security officials cordoned off the area. Israel's defense minister, Israel Katz, says that he has instructed its military to prepare plans to move all Palestinians in Gaza into a camp in the south of the territory. Katz told newsmen that he wanted to establish a humanitarian city on the ruins of the city of Rafah to initially house about 600,000 Palestinians and eventually the whole of 2.1 million population. The defense minister said the goal was to bring people inside after security screening to ensure that
of this expected move that thousands of reservists are to be called up in Israel to expand the operation, the Israeli operation in Gaza.
He added construction would begin.
So I think it's been very clear for many months that there isn't an intention.
U.S. President Donald Trump says America will send more weapons to Ukraine after an announcement last week that Washington would halt some shipments of critical arms to Kyiv. During a meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, President Trump said he was not happy with Russia's Vladimir Putin.
We're trying to help
was getting hit very hard. The U.S. president also indicated America would send primarily defensive weapons to help Ukraine's war efforts. Among the armaments reported to have been placed on pause last week were Patriot air defense missiles and precision artillery shells. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky had appealed for the shipments to continue, describing U.S. Patriot system as real protectors of life. Trump's apparent change of heart came after days of deadly Russian drone and missile barrages on Ukrainian cities, including the capital, Kyiv. And now sports. Okachiri Football Club have defeated Python Football Club of 6th Division Nigerian Army Port Harcourt 4-2 in a football match organized by 6th Division Garrison as part of Army Day celebration in Okachiri of Okrika local government area of Rivers State. Python Football Club was defeated through a penalty shootout after a goalless draw at the end of the 90 minutes play. Justice Ihumo has the report.
Oracle only linked up with Knights in January after impressing for Nigeria's 20 side at the 2024 FC Bayern Youth Cup. The
Shortly after the match, the General Officer commanding 6th Division, Major General Emmanuel Emeka, buttressed the commitment of the Army to providing civil-military relations towards providing better services to the nation. Represented by the Chief of Staff, 6th Division, Brigadier General Emmanuel Adamu, Major General Emeka urged the people of the area to sustain their cooperation with the Army to reduce incidents of illegal crude oil theft in the area.
This event is one of the series of events that is usually held to create more awareness and to improve our civil-military relation efforts. They should continue to sustain their cooperation with the Nigerian Army in the discharge of our constitutional responsibility, especially in the fight against illegal oil bunkering in this area.
Also, the commander, 6th Division Garrison, Brigadier General Sani Ahmed, who is the organizer of the Army Day celebration, harped on the relentless effort of the Army to ensure that crime is reduced, especially the sabotage and destruction of government critical assets.
My mandate is to fight oil theft and other criminalities in my area, joint area of operation. And so, the relationship we have with the civil populace has been cordial, but to make it stronger, we organize activities to invite them and they take part in all what we do to make the relationship stronger.
Justice Ihunwo, Rstv News.
French club Montpellier has announced the signing of Nigerian striker Victor Orapo on loan from OGC Nice. Obidi Tarinabo tells us more.
The 19-year-old made 5 appearances across all competitions for Nice last season. He expressed his delight after penning his contract with Montpellier. Montpellier were relegated from Ligue 1 last season. Orapo said his main target is to help to secure immediate return to the top flights. Manchester United are reportedly on the verge of completing a deal for Javi Guerra, the highly rated 20-year-old midfielder from Valencia CF, as the Premier League giants look to bolster their midfield ahead of the 2025-2026 season. The Red Devils are close to signing Guerra, whose contract at Valencia includes a €100 million release clause. However, sources indicate that a fee in the region of €24 million to €30 million is likely to be accepted by the Spanish club due to financial constraints. Guerra, who has made over 80 La Liga appearances and emerged as a standout performer in a struggling Valencia side, is seen as a long-term solution to United's evolving midfield under new manager Ruben Amorim. He is known for his box-to-box energy, defensive discipline and ability to detect play from deep. The potential transfer comes as United prepare for a summer rebuild with the futures of veterans such as Casemiro and Christian Eriksen uncertain. Odibita about Rstv Sports News.
We're trying to help out.
Do you love and care about River State and her peace? Let's build and take her to greater heights. This is a task we must accomplish. That's it on our News at 3. I am Catherine Apple. Many thanks for watching.
Rstv, bring you the news as it is.